Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Mom Congress's recognition of the National Day of Racial Healing. My name is Crystal McCauley. I'm honored to be the Community Director for Mom Congress and joined today by Dr. Ebony Rim, our Program Director. Ebony, if you'd like to say hello and welcome you
Everybody. Sorry, I cut you off, Crystal. I'm so sorry.
You're all good. And my sound has gone wonky back and forth here today. So thank you so much. And we're welcome to all of you that are joining us live. And we can go ahead and advance to the next slide. Stacy, thank you so much for being on with us today and helping us present. So we can go ahead and invite everyone to drop into the chat if you like. Our next slide has a prompt for you. If you'd like to say hello, you can share your name, your location, and if you'd like to share, it's an option for you to share, what does racial healing mean to you? Or you might say, we reflected earlier, maybe you don't know what racial healing is, or this is your first time to hear of that. So we welcome you to share any of those reflections in the chat, but let us know your name and where you are. I know that we'll be having lots of our longtime Mom Congress members on today, as well as many, many guests. So we're excited that you're all here with us. And Ebony, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. We can advance the slides. Just wanted to give you all a quick overview of our time today, of our time together today. So we'll go over the origins, a little bit of the history of what today is and why today. We'll be led with some mindfulness conversation and discussion with Dr. Barnes. We have a special Mom Congress member highlight. And some exciting education from Venicia, who's joining us today from National Partnership for Women and Families. And we'll end with the community call to action. So we have a jam-packed agenda today, and I'm excited to see all of you all.
All right, we will go ahead and get started today exploring the origins of the National Day for Racial Healing. We're going to start with about just under a 3-minute video. So everyone get settled and let us know if you can't hear the audio. And Stacy, I'll turn it over to you. Oh, we got to go back one slide to get to the video. Sorry, Stace. Thank you.
Hi, Mark Barden at Sandy Hook Promise here. When the gunman shot his way into Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th, 2012, he loaded his AR-15 with 30-round magazines.
What do we do?
Tonight,
there's a certain palatable blackness that is accepted by society.
A closer look at the state of race in America.
I think it always feels like it's a boiling point.
The line between free speech and hate speech in question.
I feel like every day you have to watch your words.
Communities grappling with inequality from policing to housing.
I have nowhere else to go.
But today, more people are also building bridges and setting examples.
I think the racial healing starts with communication.
Focusing on our common humanity.
I'm proud to say that I have friends that are different than me.
So how can we create a more equitable world? And how do we create the space to have those tough conversations?
I think it's up to us.
From NBC News, a special presentation, the National Day of Racial Healing, sponsored by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. Here now are Kate Snow and Sinclair Esamoah.
Welcome, everyone.
We are so very glad that you're here with us.
The National Day of Racial Healing was created 7 years ago by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. It takes place on the day after Martin Luther King Day to celebrate our differences and draw meaningful connections for positive change.
And since we're talking about racial healing, let's spend a moment on the word race. The reality is, many scientists agree that race itself has no biological significance. We're all the same in our humanity. Rather, It's a social construct, one with some very real implications.
Yeah, together, Zinkley and I anchor NBC News Daily every weekday in New York, usually. But today, we are at Universal City in Los Angeles County. The land where we are meeting has been a gathering place and trading center for people of different backgrounds and cultures.
Earlier, we observed a land acknowledgement and blessing. The practice of land acknowledgements is a way to acknowledge and honor indigenous peoples who have long called this land home.
Right now, we are meeting in the round in an effort to learn from the indigenous practice of healing circles. When it comes to racial healing in the United States, there, of course, has been pain, loss, injustice, and inequity. From this program, we hope to equip you with tools to navigate tough and at times uncomfortable conversations, and we'll show you stories that we hope inspire and cultivate better understanding.
But let's start with a look at why we're hosting this special right here in Los Angeles. It's a place rich in history and diversity, and it's also no stranger to racial tensions. But as NBC News Now anchor Vicky Nguyen shows us, during challenging times, there are often people trying to bring light.
Los Angeles, a
All right, thanks, Stay. So I'm just gonna go over a little bit more of the origin really quickly, and then after that, I'll have Stacy pull up. Just it gives a little bit more background knowledge as to the why racial healing and the what and the how, actually. And she'll drop that. We can drop that link in the chat for you all. But you all will see here, I don't want to say it's self-explanatory when you hear racial and when you hear healing, right? But it's probably what you think comes to mind: connection, community, trust, building those bridges, but not just saying it, doing the work. And so here at Mom Congress, I will say that our challenge to ourselves is to make sure that we are embracing this as a organization as a whole, right? From myself to Crystal to our board on down to our members as well. And Crystal will speak more about how we plan to continue to embrace this embrace this within our member community. But I can say that as a holistic organization, you know, one of the goals, and if you're familiar with Mom Congress and if you've seen the Mom's Agenda and things of that sort, is really making sure, you know, that we are advancing and empowering and advancing policy from an equitable standpoint, right? And so making sure that we're looking at who are the end users of this. Okay, Mom Congress, this is great, right? But like, how are you uplifting racial healing in the work that you do? And we do recognize and realize that we have a task to be more transparent about what that looks like. So I'm excited for the opportunity to kick off this dynamic conversation with you all today. And that's what it's about too: conversation, uncomfortable conversations. As an African-American woman, I've seen what's going on, especially even down to work environments, right? I won't go into details or depth about that, but it is a conversation that needs to be had. And I'm excited that Mom Congress is holding space right now today to have the conversation. So I'm going to toss it over to Crystal to share a little bit more about what does this mean. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to backtrack. Stace, can you pull up the article really quickly? And then I'll toss it to Crystal. Thank you. So yeah, like I said, this article kind of just, I'm not going to read it, but wanted you all to visually see it when that link comes through the chat, what it is and kind of what it overviews and what it goes through for National Day of Racial Healing. So thank you.
Awesome, Ed. Thank you. Yep, that's such a great resource. And I'm really excited that we're launching into this work together, and excited. I think our community is in a great place. Many of you have spent a couple years getting to know each other, getting to know the space that we're looking to create. And I think this is going to have a really fantastic, rich environment. So we're looking forward to tackling this as a community head on this year. So you see here on the slide is what is racial healing? And racial healing is the people that lead to community organizational and systems transformation. And it's an ongoing process that restores individuals and communities to wholeness, repairs the damage caused by racism, facilitates trust, builds authentic relationships, and bridges divides. And I just love the way that they put this resource together and lay out those bulleted items for us all. So these are the goals that we're going to take as a community to help guide us through what we are going to define as racial healing. I will give you all an invitation at the end of our presentation today for our first community gathering based around this topic, which will be February 16th. We're looking forward to receiving education today and then coming together as a community for, as Ebony said, really tough conversations, but we think that we're in the right place to do it, and it's really going to help how we advance change to come together in this really special way. So thank you for the opportunity, everyone. And if you're not already a member, we hope that you will join us. We would love to welcome you into our community and think that it's a really loving, safe space for you. So hope that you can be here with us. And I'll toss it back to you, Ebony.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have the honor to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Teresa Barnes, and we can advance the slides as I read to you all her bio, just so you all get to know a little bit more about who she is and what she does before I toss it over to her. So Dr. Barnes is a licensed clinical social worker who owns a group private practice in Colorado and Illinois. In addition to her educational background, she has almost about 30 years of combined professional experience practicing in various settings such as agencies, hospitals, private practice, and schools. Dr. Barnes was a high school social worker, and she has a plethora of experience in working with a wide range of stakeholders on emotional regulation, collaborative problem solving, and crisis stabilization. I am blessed to know Dr. Barnes. Dr. Barnes as well. And I'm really excited to toss this over to her. She does an amazing job of just really embracing mindfulness. I heard her on a panel this weekend, even embracing this aspect of racial healing. And she has a term, which I'll let her share more about, that I'm excited for her to share with you all today. So welcome, Dr. Barnes.
It's a pleasure to join the Mommy Congress. I've heard a lot of great things about you from Dr. Wren, so I'm fairly new to the group. But I am, like she said, I'm a psychotherapist. I've been in the field for almost 30 years, and as of late, been very interested in healing for the healers. I think COVID has taught us some really hard lessons about those of us who hold the reality and pain for so many others, but yet feel unheld in our own space. So I really made it my mission and my brand to build a platform for the healers. And what's interesting about being a mom, we often are the unpaid healers, right? So when we're in jobs where, or professions where we're already doing a lot of caretaking and pouring into, and then we get home and that doesn't stop. So I'm very interested in intersectionality between motherhood and being a caregiver as a profession, because I really do see this as a population that needs to be held the most while we do the holding. So Dr. Wren and I talk a lot about our mothering woes, and part of that is that we can't hold it all. So when we were talking about, and I guess you can term it mindfulness, a lot of the work I do with clients who are treatment providers as well is becoming more internal. And that is, we begin to mother our own minds as we mother the children that are outside our bodies. And part of mothering those minds, our own minds, is tapping into those child parts of ourselves. And when I think about racial healing, I thought, gosh, what is psychically the most pivotal developmental task of childhood? And that's a sense of belonging, to believe that we belong somewhere and we're valued for who we are. And I think so much of racial trauma has severed that. So when we hold that in our psyche about the racial trauma and what it feels to never feel like you belong and always feel othered and marginalized, so much as tapping into those child spaces where that is where it's most vulnerable. So that is kind of, I don't know if that's what Dr. Wren was thinking about, because I say so many terms. She told me, you need to trademark that. You need to trademark that, because I'm saying all these things. And it's like, yeah, I do need to make that my trademark. But that's what I think about racial healing in terms of the mindfulness, is mothering your own mind.
I think that, thank you. The mothering our own minds in itself, I think I'm holding that even as we go into the conversation that Benicia will lead us in. So I really, even if we just center ourselves in that as we get ready to indulge and embrace in this conversation. So thank you so much, and no worries about the audio issues. We're super patient, all good, and I'm glad we were able to hear from you, Dr. Barnes. Thanks for joining us today.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, we can keep it moving here. Thank you all for your patience as well. We all have been navigating technology for about, 4 years now, since 2020. So thank you in advance for your flexibility and understanding. I'm going to keep us moving along here. And I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Alexia Dumboya. Alexia is the founder and president of CocoLife.Black. CocoLife.Black is an award-winning CocoLife.Black, and she is an award-winning international speaker, She holds a master's degree in organizational leadership and is a certified mental health awareness, childbirth educator, and doula. She has appeared on various domestic and international platforms like iHeartMedia and quoted by CNN and the CDC, to name a few. She is a change maker and leading voice on social determinants of health. I could go on and on about Miss Lexi, but I will let her and Crystal take it away.
Thank you, Ebony, and thank you so much, Alexia, for being here with us. Many of our Mom Congress members will know that when we get the chance to come together as a community, it's always an honor to uplift one of our members and learn about how we got so lucky to have them join our community. And so today, Alexia, I want to start off by saying thank you so much for volunteering your time and contributions to our DC Hill Day last year. Taking on the role as you did and helping us manage those little pieces and details made a huge difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And want to start off by asking you, can you tell us a little bit about CocoLife.Black and how you found Mom Congress?
Yes. So, hey, everybody, happy New Year. And thank you so much again for the opportunity to join this space. And CocoLife.Black, about 12 years ago, my own personal journey is what led to launching this space. So I didn't have the language for it then, but after having our oldest daughter, I was experiencing what I now know was severe postpartum psychosis and anxiety and depression. At that time, I just knew it to be some very intrusive thoughts, had me questioning and doubting my abilities as a mom, and even really questioning the importance that I brought to my child, and would it be better if I wasn't there, considering our circumstances. So I actually thank God for a licensed clinical social worker that I ended up connecting with. So it's kind of like a full circle moment too, with Dr. Barnes being on. But I'm so thankful because through kind of finally sharing, or being seen, I should say, being seen by a friend of mine, she recognized kind of there was some differences that were happening, and suggested that maybe I talk to someone, and I did. But what I also quickly realized is that I wasn't alone in feeling alone. And so from there, Coco Life was born. And what we do is support moms in 3 key stages of pregnancy, postpartum, and compassion for the loss of a child and significant loved one. One of the things that I always say as it relates to service and me recognizing myself at least as a servant leader is that I decided to become what I didn't have at that time. And so I'm thankful last year we embarked on a journey in partnership with a few organizations called the Moms Tour. And we traveled to many cities across the nation, and we'll continue that work this year. And that was how I first got connected with Mom Congress. And I have to say, since then, it has been a beautiful opportunity to learn, connect, and grow and glow throughout that process. And I felt like what Mom Congress did do was gave me an opportunity to fill a void, a gap, if you will, that I had in myself. So I'd been in this space, been doing the work, and I had background. I didn't come from a maternal health background. Let me say that. My background was very much so in healthcare administration, had built teams from an operations and sales perspective, domestic and internationally. So when I finally did decide to transition and work more intentionally here, I was nervous about how I would find my way. So to anyone who is on, I would say too, please know that there are spaces like this that are being created, and you can continue learning and growing through that. But after talking with Dr. Wren, I'm asking more questions, and she encouraged me to join some of the information sessions that were happening so that I could learn more. And that brings us to today. So it was such a quick turnaround, but I think it was such a blessing to be able to get connected in that season too.
Well, that's so awesome. And, we say that you're the unofficial leader of Doula Congress because you were able to bring so many doulas to DC last year, which was wonderful. I'll ask Stacy to advance the slide, and I just want to highlight the member event that you did yesterday, your MLK Day of Service. And I know that you wanted to bring a special spin on policy. So if you'll tell us a little bit more about that event and how Mom Congress can help support and will continue to help support those efforts.
Yes. So what tends to happen is, and what we've seen happen, and this is kind of leading into a little bit of the void that even for myself, we would oftentimes hear, myself and others may share this sentiment, get in contact with your Congress people, get in contact with your state reps, get in contact with those legislators that can make these differences. But sometimes that can feel very daunting if you're not sure where to start and how to move beyond that. So what we decided to do was host this year's MLK Day of Service as an opportunity to learn about what it means to be in community activism. And so Mom Congress was able to share some great resources in how you can become or move with intentionality as a community advocate. So we were joined by about 20 plus mom ambassadors, we called them yesterday. Some were doulas, some are aspiring doulas, and some work in other various spaces of even public health. But we were joined, and that gave us a chance to educate, one, about how to find your state representative, like something as simple as that, how to reach out, what sort of ways that you can build community and communication. So if you can't go in person, maybe you're able to set up virtual meetings. And what that then led to is a discussion, an idea sharing, if you will, where some of the participants started to also give ideas around things that they would do to engage, which is meeting up with their council person, share it with them. This is an election year. And so even outside of the primaries, there's midterm elections that you want to be familiar with so that you can learn and make sure that you're more integrated in the process, especially as a doula. We know there's a lot of legislation that's out there around the perinatal health space. And we want to make sure that for us, it's not just workforce development. So we over at Cocoa Life, we do train doulas. Thanks to Mom Congress, we've been able to also offer that to some members, and we'll again continue that this year. But the other thing we want to do is make sure that our voices are amplified in this space when decisions are being made. And so for us, it's also workforce sustainability. So that looks like us becoming what we refer to as perinatal health equity advocates. So now we understand and can serve as doulas, but there's a lot of additional support that we can offer, and there's a designation supporting that too. So I think that's one of the things, as I was listening to Dr. Barnes, and I love that term, mothering the mind, and it made me think of some of the doulas that have come through the space and what we learned about Amugwo care. And what they say as it relates to Amugwo care, which is a Nigerian terminology, is it is mothering the mother. And so that's what it really looks like for us to serve and support. There has to be wellness in the work. And so that's what we did yesterday, is took some time with persons that are already integrated in the community to empower them in this specific targeted space. And we were able to give them resources based on what Mom Congress had shared with us too.
That's so awesome, Alexia. And I have to say, to your point there, we, mothers and those that advocate for parenthood and the mothering experience, we need to be in all these spaces. So we're often talking, laser focused on education and federal legislation at Mom Congress, but we know that at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, like there are elected officials in all those places that need to hear from us. And I'm so honored to see your work and to get to support in any way possible. So thank you for being here, and thanks for being a valued member of our community. And we're just very excited to uplift you today. So thank you again.
Thank you so much again.
Great to have you. Okay, Stace, you can go to the next slide, and I'm going to introduce Benicia. Benicia Gray is joining us today from the National Partnership for Women and Families, where she is the Senior Manager for Maternal and Infant Health. In this role, she works to lead equitable maternal health policies, focusing on the dual maternal and infant health crises plaguing people of the global majority, Black, Latinx, and Indigenous women and birthing people. She currently leads the Listening to Mothers Fourth Advisory Council and has served as an advisor for US of Care and Deloitte Black Maternal Health Project. Through her own lived experience, Benicia uses her superpower to convene a range of diverse experts to inform maternal health policies and practices with the end goal of systemic change to the delivery of maternal health care. Benicia, we're so honored to have you here with us today, and I have to say, it's an honor for you to say through your personal experience. That's what brings most of our advocates to Mom Congress, is a personal lived experience, and it's something that we work really hard in our community to hold space for those with those lived experiences. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being here with us and sharing your time today. We're very excited to learn from you.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me for such an important event. I'm really honored to be here virtually with you all to discuss our recent analysis on Black maternal health. And I just want to start not only with lived experience, but almost like a flag of warning that I have a 4-year-old here with me for snow day, and he likes to say hi. I call him my little intern. He's just all things that 4-year-olds tend to be. So
we would love to say hi to him too if he pops up. So
I hope he doesn't hear that, because he'd be like, hi, I just want to say hi. But I just want to really get right into it. I know a lot of us are kind of dealing with the issues that are here in the DMV, but what we know is that while institutional and structural racism have really long undermined the health and economic outcomes for Black women and families, we really know that the pandemic kind of just threw back the curtain and exacerbated those inequities and really worsened, unfortunately, the Black maternal health crises. So what we knew is that we had this really great report that we had written in 2018, and it was just sitting there. It was one of our organization's most visited pieces of resources, and we were unfortunately like, some of this data is outdated. We really need to update it. So what we found is that the work needed to happen. So our report really updates and expands on our previous findings, really by using our organization's key programmatic areas of both health and economic justice, and an intersectionality framework that really wants to provide further recommendations and solutions to reduce and eliminate all the adverse Black maternal health crises issues that we have seen come really prevalent, especially in kind of the tsunami of maternal health awareness that we see outside of our bubble of maternal health advocacy. We're finding more information, more interest. And then we thought that now was a really great time to update it, while people who have positions of power and decision-making could actually do something about it, not to say that they couldn't have before then. So what was clear to us is that to improve Black maternal health, healthcare itself really needed to make institutional and structural changes within itself to transform the delivery and the quality of maternal care. But what we found in our analysis, it really wasn't surprising, but it was disheartening nonetheless, right? We saw that the data has only been persistent and worsened for Black maternal health. But what we know is that regardless of socioeconomic status, Black women and birthing people in the US are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy than their white counterparts. I think everyone on this call probably knows that really terrible statistic. And in our research and our analysis, we found ongoing themes of disrespect, mistreatment, mistrust in hospital settings, especially when Black women and birthing people were going to give birth, and it continues to plague them even now in the data that we found. So we say, hey, decision makers, policy at each and every policy level, you need to establish comprehensive policy changes that really address the social drivers impacting health, and that also affect a wide range, good job, buddy, of quality of life outcomes. So these transformations aren't a turnkey thing, right? They really require listening to, supporting, sustainably funding, trusting, and respectfully engaging with Black-led organizations. It also includes a commitment to building trusted bidirectional relationships. It means, and oftentimes, seeding or sharing power, and really creating pathways that allow community-based solutions to succeed. We know that they work, they know that they're evidence-based. They need the space to succeed. So if there was one takeaway across the entire brief that I would want you to leave with, it is this: that Black women and birthing people deserve bodily autonomy and safe and health promoting environments to decide whether, how, if, when they become parents. So a little bit about our issue brief. It had 5 distinct sections. I was able to serve as the lead author. So this really was like my work baby for almost half a year. We began with background, obviously, to establish not only why Black maternal health is a crisis that's generations in the making. It's no surprise that it's where it is. That's how the powers that be wanted it to be. But we also know that there were so many different types of drivers of racism that really undermine Black people's healthcare, and there's a range of history that really helps support that. But for Black women and birthing people especially, there's no socioeconomic protection. You know, we can't buy our way or educate our way or bootstrap our way to healthier outcomes. When I say we, I'm speaking from as a Black woman perspective, but also recognize the range of identities who could be a mother and be mothering caring and concerned adults. Just want to make that flag there. But when I say we here, Black women are really outpacing heart-related health conditions. We're often faced with high levels of chronic stress, simply caused by existing in our bodies, which in turn can cause weathering or premature aging of our bodies. And that directly impacts our DNA. And then it goes into our generations that we birth and beyond. So what I may have stress in my granddaughter, who's untold, would already have some of that impacting her DNA. It's a generations issue. We also contend with a dangerous landscape of healthcare, made even more so dangerous by the rippling impacts of the recent Dobbs decision that already had a perilous reproductive freedom that Black people are often seeking and deserve by having access to timely healthcare. It just almost pushed us over the precipice. But I want to pause because this brief has joy, even in all of that light, especially in today's programming context. So as a Black mom, as you hear and probably see with fingers in the background, even though I tried to blur, it was really important to me to be sure that we highlighted the resilience and resistance that Black motherhood is just in and of itself, right? I wanted to honor the movements of Black women who have come before us and we're still here, that they've created, including coining words and phrases that we use today, like reproductive justice, birth justice, intersectionality, misogynoir. We touch on the critical special sauce that's in our communities of color that are the foundations of our solutions, where Black midwives, beautiful doulas like the one we just heard spotlighted, and community birth settings have continued to make their way in the mainstream's collective knowledge, but we know that they have existed as long as babies have been born, right? So it was really important for me to kind of instill that joy, make sure that joy is a part of it, because I think if you were to go to stop someone on the street and say, what's going on with Black maternal health? Someone will go, oh, well, Black women are more likely to die than white people. Yes, and, right? So I wanted to have that and part. So that's where the remaining sections, we get into some of the work, right? The actions that need to happen, where each of you can play a part, whether it be contacting your policymakers, sharing with heads of health systems, institutions, or even a provider. So there's no limit to kind of where people have factions of power. The right phrase just left my mind. But together, by transforming the delivery of Black maternal care, eliminating the economic inequities that plague working Black women and people, and finally, and not last or least, collecting data that is both intersectional and includes disabled Black birthing people. All these things together, we believe the Black maternal health crisis can be vastly improved and potentially solved. That's the goal, right? So when we say transform the delivery of Black maternal care, long name, amazing results, that's what we hope to get. This is what we mean. In its current state, we know that our maternity care system and its big brother, healthcare systems overall really spectacularly fail birthing people, and more so Black birthing people. We know that systems would need to overhaul their policies and practices to address inequities, including racism and ableism that undermine Black people's health. And that has a range of solutions. That's another report that we've written, and I'm happy to share that offline. But in this context, it means intentionally providing whole person, respectful, comprehensive, high quality, culturally centered care that meets the physical, emotional, and social needs of the people seeking care. It means looking at a person as a person and not an insurance card holder. So transforming care has to focus on maintaining the dignity, personal agency, and autonomy of birthing people, which means, unfortunately, that implicit bias training alone is insufficient. We found that we need systems that participate in their state's perinatal quality collaboratives, their PQCs, and that are tracking and addressing inequities in their own quality improvement programs. You know, states have to look at their own QI programs and figure out what does transforming the delivery of maternal care look like, especially for those who are more likely to come to us and present to us with more risk through no fault of their own. And with that in mind, we need to ensure that clinicians who provide the training for medical, nursing, doula, and midwifery students, and I'm going to take it a step further, anyone who has any interaction with a patient who's presenting as a birthing person, they need to be sure that when they're getting that training, that there are curriculums that are designed and tailored to prioritize anti-racism. We don't want to have to reprogram folks once they're already really deep into the system that was created to fail people. So for this audience especially, it means that Congress has to prioritize passing the Black Maternal Health Omnibus Act, which was crafted and supported and informed by Black women and birthing people in every facet of healthcare and lived experience, which is no surprise considering that the package addressed every driver of maternal mortality, morbidity, and disparity in our nation. So transformation also calls for the destigmatization and treatment of Black maternal mental health. Black women face twice the risk of maternal mental health related maternal mortalities and are likely to experience perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. I can raise my hand right there for that. And all of this, and Black women receive lower quality mental health care. We found in our analysis that 60% Black mothers do not receive any treatment or support for pregnancy-related mental health complications. We have to urge Congress to maintain the funding in those AIM bundles, which allow states to thereby support mental health programs, mental health support, however they see fit. So when we say transforming the delivery of Black maternal care, Grayson, shh. It means we must protect and expand access to reproductive health care. Even before Dobbs, right? We knew that Black women had difficulty accessing abortions or were denied abortion. I'm a woman from the South. We know that the South is a terrible hellscape sometimes of healthcare, especially for reproductive health. So we knew that before the Dobbs decision, what the landscape looked like. So we know that there are solutions, there are counterbalances to that. Legislation like the EACH, which is the Equal Access to Abortion Coverage in Health Insurance Act, and WIPA, the Women's Health Protection Act, both of those together must be made into law by Congress to protect those seeking abortions through their insurance via the federal government, and through WIPA protects healthcare providers who are providing healthcare via abortions, which is healthcare. Abortions are healthcare. States can also follow the example of Michigan to replace abortion bans with legislation that guarantees access to high quality, affordable, and culturally responsive reproductive care. So, all that said, that's just in one section of what we want when we talk about transforming the delivery of maternal care. The next couple, really, we wanted to focus in on the other facets that Black women present. We just don't one day show up pregnant, right? We know that Black women face wealth and income gaps that impact our economic futures. We are overly represented in low-wage professions that are often built to keep women of color in poverty. Through World In, and that impacts their health status. It impacts housing and even nutritional concerns, especially for pregnant and postpartum people. If you're not able to fuel yourself, you're not able to go through the day in a healthy way. 60% of the women who gave birth in the last 12 months were economically insecure, compared to, and that's Black women. Just want to make a correction there. It's Black women who gave birth in the last 12 months were economically insecure, compared to 41% of women overall. This is unacceptable. We must close the wage gap by raising the minimum wage to at least $17 nationally and improve and strengthen equal pay legislation. It also means we need a national paid leave policy to guarantee access to paid leave to meet the needs of pregnant people, caregivers, and families. Once the baby's here, the help is still needed. The work doesn't stop. And in doing so, pregnant worker accommodations must be compiled in a thoughtful manner that minimizes the burden to pregnant employees who are in physically demanding jobs that pose risks to healthy pregnancies. So now, when I mentioned intersectionality at the top of my remarks, I paid homage to the fabulous Kimberly Crenshaw, who coined the words to describe how multiple forms of inequity compound and create obstacles for those with multiple marginalized identities. When I said that, what we found to be really depressing in the analysis was we recognize that Black disabled people are more likely to experience adverse, bad, terrible birth outcomes than non-disabled or non-Black people. Pregnant women with disabilities have a much higher risk for several pregnancy and birth-related complications, and they also face death they outpace it than other pregnant people. But there is a stark disparity in the research and the data on the intersections of disability and gender and race and all the other identities that are needed to improve the policies that we know we need for Black disabled birthing people. It means commitments to standardizing data, that is disaggregated by race and ethnicity, and you're broken down into all the smaller subgroups. No race is a monolith. Black people are no exception to that. We also need even more information about sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as how those identities interact with each other, so we can really truly understand and most importantly solve for those inequities and their root causes. We, the National Partnership and I hope at Mom Congress, believe such a world can and must exist for Black birthing people. So I know, even though I'm from Louisiana, I talk super fast, and I know I've thrown a lot at you to absorb today, and I'm happy to take questions. I know on the next slide, there are links to the fact sheet, which is Hill-facing. It's for the policymakers, and then the longer, really beautiful 20-page issue brief is also available for folks. And I am just thanking you all for your time. Thank you.
Venesia, thank you. Thank you, first of all, for your time, but for this work. I've read through, and I have to tell you, if you're on or if you're watching this recording, get on these links and spend some time going through this information. You have offered so much joy and hope, and I think anybody who reads through this information can see that there is a place for them in improving the outcomes. And Mom Congress absolutely believes in the world that you see, and we're here to help you make it happen. And so thank you for offering this education so we can go forward and continue pushing alongside you. Shout out to Grayson, I just have to say, I heard that, and shout out to you for being a working mom, because especially these last couple weeks, I mean, you go through the holidays and school closures and snow days and all the diseases and all the things that we're dealing with. So thank you for continuing to show up, because your work is amazing, and we're really lucky to be able to share here. So if you're lots of love in the comments and hearts and stuff in the chat, I want to open up the floor. If anybody has a question, we welcome you to drop it in the chat. People have asked, how can I get access to this beyond? I want to share the recording. We will send out a recording, and we'll also publish this to our website so it can be shared. We want as many members, potential members, and anyone else who you speak to know that this exists and it's a resource for them to draw from to really make some change in this space. So thanks again, Venesia, for being here with us today. We'll go through our last couple of slides, but if you have questions as we go, please continue to drop them in the chat. If you just want to give love and some hand claps for that wonderful work, you can do that too. Let's see. webinar from yesterday. So I will leave that to Alexia to answer for you if you have a recording from your work yesterday. So as usual with our Mom Congress, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I can definitely send out kind of our notes that we have from it. I'll share that with you all, with you and Ebony.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll write myself a note so I don't forget. Okay, so our Mom Congress member community, we appreciate the opportunity to come together for education, and we always want the opportunity to take action. Most of us, again, have come to this work through a personal lived experience, either of our own or someone that we love, and taking action is what drives us to continue to be advocates. So to that end, we offer a call to action for you. If you are a Mom Congress member, you will have already seen these tools. If you are not a member, we're going to show these to you here today so you have a bit of understanding of how we reach out to our legislators, especially here at the beginning of the year. We try to take an opportunity to reach out and just say, hey, we're here and we're still doing the work, and I want to develop a relationship with you and share some of the education that I've received and ways that you can support motherhood and parenting in the United States. If you'll start, Stacy, actually by the second link, if you'll click on the template letter, I just want to give everyone a quick visual. I'll drop these in the chat. They will be in the slides as well. But this is a template letter. Many of you will have seen something similar before. This one is queued up specifically for National Day of Racial Healing. So you're invited to review this, make a copy of this Google document, and then make the edits to it as you see fit. So there's no requirement for including any of this information. It's all just here to be a scaffolding for you. If you can scroll down a little bit further, you'll see at the bottom, there's a couple call outs for education, some notes about some specific mom's agenda bills as well. Add other bills to that. Do you have the relationship with the Republican leader who's going to sign on to the Black Maternal Health Momnibus? That's what we need. So open up those hard conversations. If you've got someone who can help turn the tide on some of these bills that aren't yet bipartisan, please reach out to them and let us know how we can support you. We can go back to the slide and just call out that the one piece that is highlighted in that template is the National Day of Racial Healing Policy Action Toolkit. And you can click on that, Stace, thank you. So that's included in the letter. And this is just event and activity ideas for policymakers. And it's an opportunity for you to start a conversation with them about why we recognize National Day of Racial Healing and some specific things that they can do as a legislator to spark ideas for change in the community. So those will both be included in the slides, and I'll put them in the chat here too. And then we can go back to our slides. And thank you so much. So this will be, we mentioned earlier that one of our calls to action this year is going to be having these racial healing conversations as a community. So the sense of belonging that we've often talked about, we want to invite you as a Mom Congress member to feel that you belong and can be in a safe space where we can have hard conversations that can bring on meaningful change. To that end, we invite you to join our first Mom Congress Community Racial Healing Conversation on February 16th. That invitation will go out to all of our members later this afternoon. We'll gather together on Zoom. We can go to the next slide and share that if you are not yet a member, in addition to joining us for our racial healing conversations, we'd also love for you to join us to get virtual education on our mom's agenda bills, more guided opportunities for relationship building. We have networking opportunities, we have more educational opportunities, and would love to welcome you. I will drop a link in the chat here to become a Mom Congress member on our website, and also put in the chat here that our annual membership fee is $45, but we are doing $5 memberships for the rest of the month of January. So you can use the code 5, and that will reduce your annual membership rate down to $5. And you can go to the next slide. So 2 more notes for you all. If you are not a member and you're on, another exciting thing that we are doing in January is authoring a letter to the Bipartisan Paid Family Leave Working Group. If you are a member, you might have seen we sent out a note in December inviting you to submit responses for this group letter, and then we're going to have a working session on January 29th where we will have pulled all those responses, crafted up a group letter, and we're going to work together before submitting that to the Congressional Paid Family Leave Working Group. And I think we have one more slide. to share with you all. If you all did not see, we shared on social media the other day, but here in the last couple of weeks, Mom Congress was featured on the news in Good Morning America, which was very exciting. I'm putting a link to the article here. It was really wonderful to see so many of our partners mentioned, Shades of Blue Project, the Policy Center for Maternal Mental Health. This article is specifically focused on new state legislation regarding maternal mental health screening, but opened up a really broader conversation with the producer about the state of maternal mental health and equity across screening and the ability of states versus federal laws. So invite you to read that article and get fired up for the work that we have to do together in 2024. We can go to our last slide. And again, want to thank you all for being here. We're almost right on time, but we still have moments for questions. If anyone has a question for myself or any of our other presenters, our featured member, want to thank you all again for being here, and I will go ahead and stop the recording.